Okay, so for this short video today, we are going to discuss this is something extra, right? Because they are not going to ask you in the exam, but I just want to show you why when we do the binomial expansion, right, we actually need to write out the value of x. What is it for? Okay, but in exam they will not ask you all this kind of. They will just ask you to write out the value of x, but they are not going to ask you why, right? But I will just explain here in a very simple way to let you understand why do we need to have this. Okay, all right. So maybe we start from a very first one simple expansion first, binomial expansion. So if let's say I'm having 1 plus 3x and then power half. So if I apply the binomial expansion until x power 3, my answer should be 1 plus 3 over 2x and then minus 9 over 2 x squared plus 27 over 16 x power 3. And then according to the technique that we learned before, the value of x for this one is modulus x should be smaller than 1 over 3. Okay, so this is something that we learned in the previous videos in our lesson, right? So you need to know how to expand it correctly and also how to write the value of x correctly. Okay, all right. So a lot of students, they know how to write out, but maybe they're actually not sure why do we need to write this out and what is it for. Okay, so for your information, for binomial expansion formula, when you expand it into the expression like this, okay, in ascending power of x, you can actually use it to estimate some value. Alright, and then to make sure that the value that you estimate is correct, there's one condition that you need to fulfill. That means the value of x, when you submit now, it must be between this value. Okay, it must fulfill this value. So the x is only valid for this value. If let's say you want your expression to be correct, or you want your expression to estimate the value correctly. Okay, so maybe I take one example here. Let's say I want you to use binomial expansion to estimate this one. Square root of 1.03. Okay, alright. So if I want to estimate the value of square root 1.03, of course you can press calculator. If let's say I don't want you to press calculator, I want you to use binomial expansion to find out the answer. So how can I do it? Alright, so maybe I can suggest you try to link it with this binomial expansion. This. So I'm having 1.03 power half. And you can actually write it become 1 plus 0.03 power half. And you can write become 1 plus 3 times 0.01 power half. So I want you to compare this pattern and this pattern. So they are the same. And you substitute the x by using 0.01. So that means now you substitute the 0.01 into the x and into your binomial expansion formula. So 3 over 2x becomes 3 over 2, 0.01 minus 9 over 8, and then 0.01 squared, and then 27 over 16, 0.01 cubed. So if you press calculator here, I believe that the answer that you get should be 1.014889188. Okay, so this is the value for square root 1.03, and the answer that I get is this one. Okay, by using the binomial expansion formula. Okay, so if you want to know how accurate is it, okay, so you can use calculator. Okay, try to press the answer for 1.03 square root. Okay, so from calculator, right, the answer that you get should be 1.014889157. So you please compare these two values here. Are they very close to each other? Actually, yes. So that means by using the binomial expansion, right, the value that you estimate now can be very accurate. You see, almost the same already, the value. Okay, if you want to make it more accurate, then how can you increase the accuracy? You just expand more terms. Maybe you can expand x power 4 or x power 5 and so on. Then you might get the same answer as what you have as original value. Okay, so the using calculator value is the original value. So if you use binomial expansion and estimate it, if you compare, then you can see that they can be very close to each other. Okay, so for binomial expansion formula, you can actually use it to estimate some value. Okay, so let us discuss another example. Okay, so another example, maybe I would like to estimate the value for 103 square root. Okay, so how can I get the value for 103 square root? So again, if you rephrase it, it will become 1 plus 102, right? 102 plus 1 is 103. And then the 102, you can make it become 3 times 34. Then you get 102, and then you plus 1. Okay, so now again, now your x is what? Your x is 34. Just now one is what? Just now the value x is 0.01, so now it's 34. Okay, so you try it into your binomial expansion formula. Okay, so 34 minus 9 over 8, 34 square plus then 34 power 3. So if you press calculator for this question, your answer that you get is, I think should be 65077. Okay, so the answer that you get for square root 103 is 65077. And if you use calculator, what is the answer for square root 103? So the answer for square root 103 should be 10.14889157. Okay, so if you compare these two answers again, so now the answer that you estimate by using binomial expansion is wrong one. Can you see that or not? Because the correct answer is 10 point something, but the value that you get is 65,000 plus. Okay, all right. So maybe you will think why just now when you want to estimate the value, you can get the value very accurately, but for this case, you cannot get the value very accurately. So the problem is here, the value of x. Okay, so again, for the binomial expansion, right, that you apply here, the valid value of x is what? Is between negative 1 over 3 and also 1 over 3. So if you look at the first example here, for this one, the x is equals to 0.01. Is it between negative 1 over 3 to 1 over 3? Yes. So therefore, when you substitute the value 0.01 into the binomial expansion formula, you'll get a very accurate estimation. Then for this part, the second part here, your x is 34. So you ask yourself, is it 34 between negative 1 over 3 to 1 over 3? No, right? It is out of the range. So if you insist, substitute the 34 into the binomial expansion equation, so what will you get? You'll get a wrong estimation. Alright, so that's the reason why we need to have this valid value of x. Alright, because if the value that you want to substitute in the binomial expansion is within this valid value of x, then your binomial expansion estimation value will be more accurate, will be an accurate value or correct value. But if you substitute it outside the range, right, so the answer you get is not the correct value. Okay, it will be very, very different from the correct answer. Okay, so that's the reason why we usually need to write out the valid value of x. Okay, so these two examples here show you clearly, alright. Okay, although the concept looks like the same, but if you put in the not the valid value of x, the answer that you get is also the wrong one. Okay, so maybe some students will ask, how can you get the square root 103 if let's say you insist you want to use binomial expansion? So if you want to use square root 103, then what are you going to do is like you need to change it become 100 multiplied with 1.03. So square root 100 you get a 10. So 10 multiplied with square root 103. So the square root 1.03, you already have the answer here just now, right? So you substitute in here. Alright, so I think this is the way how you get the correct answer. Okay, alright, so just to show you why do we need to write out the valid value of x. So I hope that you understand, okay, the meaning behind it. instead of just writing it out. All right.